The thing that allows you to create the impact you're here to create is your own self, your own thought, your unique DNA.
Who are you allowing, or what are you allowing to have the most influence on you? And are you creating any room for you to think for yourself?
One of the reasons you might feel like an imposter is because right now you're outsourcing your thoughts. Maybe right now your default is going to AI. You're in ChatGPT. You're asking all the questions. It's creating your content. You're consulting with your mentor. Maybe you're just scrolling on social media constantly throughout your day. And you're doing all of these things in place of thinking for yourself. Instead of using these things as tools, they've been put on a pedestal. Almost like they are gods. They are the influence. They are the voice. Instead of allowing your own thought and your own voice to carry the most weight, the most leadership, the most value in the scenario. We run so much risk when we do this because the thing that sets you apart, the thing that makes you fulfilled, the thing that allows you to create the impact you're here to create is your own self, your own thought, your unique DNA, your unique gifts that you bring to the table, to the market. And so when you're outsourcing all of that critical thinking, all of your thought to these things that are meant to be tools, we're taking away the thing that really brings the most magic to your people through you, which is your voice, your own thought.
All of these things like AI or your mentor or even like scrolling on social media and listening to the people that you follow, the people that you like, all of these things do influence us in a way. And we all have influences in our lives, like the people we interact with on the internet, but also the people we interact with in real life. Books and media and all of these things do influence us. And that is a normal part of life. But my question for you today would be, who are you allowing or what are you allowing to have the most influence on you in your life and in your work? And are you creating any room for you to think for yourself, to use your critical thinking, to create more from your own brain? Because that really is the thing that sets you apart, is using your God-given mind to find creative solutions and to problem solve and to create in general.
I have noticed this lack of fulfillment and excitement and this concept where so many of us feel the need to reinvent in our business all the time. And it's almost like we're chasing something. We constantly feel behind. And I believe one of the roots of that, one of the core causes of that is because we are not grounded in who we are, in what we believe, in our opinions, because all of it has become so clouded because there's so much noise. And it is actually really hard to be grounded in who you are and to think for yourself. Like, let's just be real. Like, our world is a distraction at this point. Distraction is at our fingertips. It's always within reach. We have our phone right next to us. We're on our computers. We have our inbox open, you name it. And so it requires a lot of intentionality. You have to like build in this habit of actually being with yourself and your own thoughts. Your ability to think for yourself is the new currency. And it's going to be the thing that brings you more fulfillment in your work, that sustains you in your work. And yeah, it's going to set you apart because not many people are going to be doing this. I mean, less and less people are doing it now. So I can only imagine 5 years from now.
It's like a discipline to create those pockets of time for you to just think for yourself. It is a discipline in those moments where you just want to go pick up your phone and scroll and numb out and not really think at all because maybe you're tired and you just want to like unplug for a little bit. But instead of unplugging, we're like plugging in to the device instead of taking time away from that. I know it is such a cliche, but it's like just spend more time offline if you can. Find those pockets in your days, like to discipline yourself to just have moments of silence or at least moments of stillness. I know everybody's lives are different and maybe your life is really busy. Maybe you're a mom and an entrepreneur. Then it's like that's easier said than done to find those moments of time. But if you can carve it out in your schedule, or in those moments where you just want to pick up your phone, it is a discipline to just like tell yourself no and spend time with nothing. Like spend time in the boredom, and that's where you create more space for your mind to just roam and to kind of reset or solve problems that are in the background of your mind. That is so important, to discipline yourself in those moments. It's easier said than done, but we all need to do that more.
Yeah, I find that these tools create this desire in us to constantly chase, like we're missing out on something if we're not using it, if we're not online, if we're not on social media, if we aren't plugged in, there's some sort of stress and anxiety. And in reality, yeah, you want to leverage tools like AI in your business, 100%. But the best, most productive, most powerful thing that you can do is get extremely grounded in who you are, get extremely grounded in your work, make sure that there is substance behind your work, there's original thought, there's critical thinking, there's agitation that you've had to move through to get to the meat of what you're meant to bring to the market, to bring to your people. And I'm telling you, if you be willing to do this work, this is going to be the thing that leads to your breakthrough, whatever it is, whether you want more clients, you want a higher volume of followers, you want to impact more people, you want to make more money. This is the area of focus, not all of these other distractions. The reality, like we've touched on already, is it's so much easier to numb out and to consume. It's so much harder to come up with original thought. Not many people are going to do it. Not many people are going to be willing to do it. Your willingness to do it is going to make all the difference. It's going to bring so much more impact, so much more substance to every single thing that you do. Why do we subconsciously outsource our thoughts? First of all, we have this idea that these sources are going to somehow fast track our success, or we're going to be able to skip ahead. That's really what it comes down to. We feel like we can skip steps, 1 through 8, and we're just going to go ahead and get to level 10 because we purchased that course, or because we're leveraging AI, or because we're following this new trend that everyone's talking about on social media. So we're in this state of chasing because we think it's going to propel us forward. It's true that proximity is power. So you working with a mentor underneath someone who knows more, who is 10 steps ahead of you, that's really good. That's really healthy. We actually firmly believe that you need to be in rooms where you're the furthest behind, because you have to do that in order to be called higher. If you're in a room where you're the leader all the time, how are you going to grow? How are you going to be pushed to evolve and expand? It's really hard to do that. So you do need to get around people that are further ahead than you, but also at the same time, you have to get grounded in your unique gift mix and your unique identity, because every single person, your mentor, the people you look up to included, we all have a certain grace for the gifts that we carry, whether we're really gifted strategically or in our communication or in our creativity. We all carry these unique gifts. And if we're not careful, what we can do is try to follow someone else's path from A to Z, step by step, because we think if we replicate, then surely we'll get where we want to go and we'll get there like tomorrow. But the reality is that may work for a season. You can operate underneath someone else's gifting for a season, but it will not be sustained because it is not your own gift. It's not your own strength. Doing that repeatedly for a long time is going to cloud your judgment. It's going to cause you to get lost on your path and forget who you are, where you're strong, what you're meant to be doing. So we have to draw this clear line between actually learning and growing underneath someone and or leveraging a tool without completely losing ourselves in it. And that's what I see happening so much right now. It's like we're on one side of the pendulum or we're on the other. Like we are not using these tools. We think they're villains, or we're on this side where we are in it. It's our identity. It's everything. And we feel like if we aren't staying up to date on all the things, we're behind and we're anxious. But actually, as always, the magic is in the middle ground where you are leveraging tools. You are learning underneath people, but you are so grounded in who you are. You are so grounded as a leader And you've created this space to think for yourself so your work has substance and it is sustained.
When you're grounded in who you are and what you believe, and you're so firm in that, you can work with a mentor and learn something from them, or be around people who have different giftings than you do, but it doesn't alter you and it doesn't fundamentally change who you are. You can still learn things from your mentor or your coach, or you can pick up tools and tricks online from people that you follow, but you're still, at the end of the day, you, and you're firm in your unique gifting and the grace that you have for that. So really, just being firm in who you are is the foundation. Always, because we're all going to have these outside influences or these things that could potentially sway us, but when you're firm in who you are, it's like you can still learn and get the good out of other people or out of certain tools, but at the end of the day, you can still like trust your instincts and trust your intuition. It's like with AI, for instance, it's so easy to use that when you feel like maybe you don't have the answer. And I know I've done this where I just go to that because it's easier instead of sitting with something and really thinking it through. And usually I'm the one that has the answer, and AI is just kind of generating out some slop for me. So most of the time, seriously, most of the time it's better for you to work through something in your mind instead of going to that and trusting that to guide you. Use it as a tool instead of trusting it with like your thoughts,
your entire body and being.
Yeah.
Like, it is not the ultimate solution and answer. And, sometimes the convenient path isn't necessarily the best path. And I think that's something we really have to take hold of in this season. Sometimes it's not going to be convenient for you to spend hours iterating an outline for a podcast. And yet, that's what we do all the time, because our ideas are going to always carry more weight, more substance. They're going to be more connected to our entire heart and being than something that AI would come up with, right? And so it's going to be so much more productive, so much more impactful. It's going to be worth the extra time for us to sit with that and actually flesh things out instead of just taking the convenient path. A lot of times that convenient path is going to sometimes be slop. Sometimes it's not going to be, often it's not the best.
Another problem with outsourcing your thoughts to these sort of things is that you have a scapegoat if things don't work out. And I think that's a subconscious thing that we can all do, because it's easy to put the blame elsewhere if things don't go according to plan. It's easy to blame your coach or your mentor if things don't work out. It's easy to blame the algorithm because your content isn't performing the way you want it to. It's just easy to put blame elsewhere. And I think that this is a subconscious thing we might be doing, is we're outsourcing our thoughts because that way we have a scapegoat. But blame is a victim's game. And I don't want you to be the victim of your circumstances, and I don't want to be the victim of mine either. The thing is, when you start thinking more and more for yourself and making your own decisions, there is greater responsibility with that if things don't work out. But on the flip side, there's also greater reward for you when things do work out. When you think more for yourself, you'll start to realize that all of these experiences, any mistakes you make or any achievements you experience are all just lessons anyway, and it's all helping you grow. So the problem with outsourcing your thoughts is that you don't learn, you don't grow, you don't become, and what good does that do you?
It's so true. Subconsciously, I do believe sometimes when we're making investments, we're working with people, or we're defaulting to go to this tool all the time, we're lacking belief in ourselves, or we're lacking patience for the process. Again, wanting more convenience or wanting things to move faster, or not having confidence in our own skill sets. But at the end of the day, if you're in business, this is your thing. No one is ever going to believe in it more than you. It is ultimately your responsibility. And when you learn that and you take full ownership for it, in the good, in the bad, there's so much power there. Many of you know my story. One of the hardest experiences that I went through was losing $20,000 on an investment when I did not have that money to spend. Like, that was all debt. I was newly married. We were struggling to pay certain bills. We were eating ramen. But in that moment, I had a choice to blame that person that I hired, to blame the experience. And trust me, I wanted to. And trust me, there were moments in the raw first few days after that where I was angry. But if you stay in that anger, it doesn't do any good for you. You don't learn from it. You don't move forward from it. You just sit in it. So you have that choice to either learn from the hard stuff and take responsibility, leave the scapegoat behind, just take ownership for your part, find a way to learn something and move forward. That's exactly what I did. And by far, that has been the biggest catalyst moment and breakthrough moment in my entire career to date, because when you hit rock bottom, when you take ownership, you see what you're made of and you actually lead the way out of that hole, out of that cave. You build so much resilience. You learn so much. And that's what creates true success. It's not the person that you work with. It's not social media or what, gurus have to say or the trends or the tactics. What really makes success is your ability to keep pressing in again and again and again. And in the world of content, thinking for yourself, the hard work of thinking for yourself. The real work today is thought leadership. That's where you're fulfilled. That's where impact is created. That's where wealth is created, especially now with AI being more prominent. We need more thought leaders in the world. We need more unique, fully fleshed out ideas and products and programs that literally originate from your innermost being, something that you're so connected to that you believe with every fiber of your being, things that have been tested out through thick and thin, things that have been worked through in the fire. Those are the things that we need, not slop or regurgitation from AI or not this step-by-step plan that your mentor gave you. We need you. We need your thought. Those who learn to do this, those who learn to sit with the agitation and the inconvenience of this process, they're going to be excellent in their field. They're going to excel. And yeah, they're going to create a lot of wealth in the process too.
These ideas that develop from deep within us, it's fulfilling for us on our end, but it's also the most impactful for the people you're here to serve. So it's like a two-way street. It's it's going to make you feel more fulfilled and happy, but it's also going to benefit other people around you. The first step to more original thought is using your discernment. Outsourcing your thoughts really just means allowing influences like social media, your mentor, or AI to sway your decisions without checking with yourself first. It's when you lean too heavily on these things to inform all of your decisions without you thinking for yourself. In a world of so many voices saying you need to do this way, or you need to do that way, or don't do it this way, using your discernment is your superpower. It's what will keep you on your path. It's what will keep you focused on your assignment and your calling. And it will empower you to think more for yourself and make your own decisions. Discernment really just boils down to using your insight, perception, and wisdom to decide for yourself what's true for you versus what's not, what's right for you or what's not, and who are you allowing to have an influence on you, or what are you allowing to influence you, and how much influence do those things have on you? In marketing and on social media and just in the world at large, there are so many people sharing their beliefs and convictions and opinions as absolute truths, but it's so important to remember that there's nuance to all of it. So when you're online or you're listening to your mentor or you're going to AI, asking AI questions, take advice with a grain of salt. And you have to ultimately discern if something's right for you or not. Everyone's just sharing from their personal experience anyway and the level of knowledge that they have. So at the end of the day, it's great to listen to your mentor. It's great to pick up on things and learn things online. But at the end of the day, you have to take what applies to you, apply it to your life, and the things that don't apply to you just don't apply to you, and you can get rid of them. It's fine. I think this applies to everything. I mean, this could be for your business or in regards to health. I mean, man, health is a big one I can think of because everyone has an opinion about fat loss and weightlifting, and you need this amount of protein, and you need this, you need to walk more, you need to walk less, you need to run less, or this and that. And I am like, whew, that's a lot of information. And there's an abundance of information out there. So you have to ultimately use your discernment to decide what's right for you, what are you interested in trying out, and what's not working for you in regards to anything like health or motherhood or business or whatever it may be.
Yeah, the reality is many of us are walking around like blind sheep, and we're expecting to be herded around. If you really think about it, if you really, I know that sounds harsh, but like we're just like looking, well, we're blind, we ain't looking, but like we're waiting for our shepherd to like lead the way.
Because it's easier. And there's no responsibility with that.
There's no responsibility, no ownership has to be taken there because the shepherd knows the way. So you're just like freaking pitter-pattering around blindly. And that's why so many of us feel behind, feel overwhelmed, feel exhausted. We're in a constant chase because we're always looking to other sources, people, tools, etc., to tell us what to do. And you might hear this and be like, girl, that's not me. But we all do this on a subconscious level, or we have done it historically. Mm-hmm. I know Jordan and I have both done this. I've definitely done this with mentors, completely lost my sense of self because you put people or things on a pedestal when in reality, like you're the thing. Like you're the force, you're the power, you're often the answer. Like it's in you. It takes a lot of work to pull it out instead of to look to someone or something and look at the blueprint on the desk in your office and say, I'm going to do steps A to Z.
Yeah.
It takes courage to actually bring yourself to the table, bring your thoughts to the table, and to be willing to fail, to be willing to fall on your face and scrape your knees. In business, you have to be willing to do that. You can't skirt around it. You can't skip ahead of it. I don't know a single entrepreneur, whether they are just starting out or they are, you know, in the big leagues, who hasn't failed and fallen on their face. And we're so afraid of that. We're so afraid about like what that says about us, or a new one. We're so afraid of not having the answer. I've had this conversation with clients a lot recently. Like, what if I'm on a call with a client and I don't have the answer to what they're asking? That's okay. Like, you're not a freaking walking dictionary or encyclopedia, and you're not ChatGPT. Mm-hmm. You know, it's okay to fall down. It's okay to not know all the things. You're much better off to press in and step into your leadership role than you are to just walk around like a blind sheep, waiting for people to lead and guide you.
Part of being a leader is failing, but the bigger part of being a leader is getting back up again. It's like, it takes courage and commitment and resilience and grit. Like, and you only develop that grit when you keep getting back up again, even when you failed, and when you just keep pressing in and keep learning and growing. And if you're just following along like a blind sheep, you're not going to learn or grow or become the person you're meant to be. There's so much power in just pressing in whatever it is, and the work and the thought work and just trying to work through an idea. Like, there's so much that happens within you, and it helps build you as a person.
Mm-hmm. And if you learn to do this proactively in moments where you aren't like in the pits, in the middle of stress, your default will change. For me, when I became a mom, I was immediately in the trenches of motherhood and postpartum, my first baby. I didn't know anything. And when I say I didn't know anything, you guys, I didn't change a diaper. I didn't know how to change his diaper for weeks because my role was, I'm nursing and then my husband's going to go change your diaper. So I didn't even know how to freaking change a diaper. I didn't know anything. But in those first few months, you go through so much with your child, with figuring out sleep and figuring out why the heck are you still crying, or why are you whining, or what's wrong with you? What am I doing wrong? I need to do something to fix this. I saw someone else doing this thing and this person does that thing. And, I didn't even want to know how many hours on my phone while I was nursing or while I was in bed or waking up genuinely at like 5:30 in the morning, immediately on my phone, researching and, what can I do to help my baby sleep like this? Or why isn't my baby doing this? What's wrong? What could some potential solutions be? That is often our default in business. We're thrown into stress, and because we're constantly following, when we're in stress, that is heightened. So we're going to our mentor. There's no critical thinking. We're using AI, and we're kind of trying to scrape things together. And
there's no self-trust either.
There's no self-trust. There's no confidence. There's no belief in yourself because you haven't been training yourself for that to be the default. And for me, being a mom, things got so much easier when I stopped researching everything and also stopped seeing every problem as like the end of the world and realized that everything's figure outable. Everything is a season. My gut instinct is going to be so much more powerful than this like 5-step guide. And there is a time and a place for mentorship, for help. For me, I hired a postpartum doula, and that was invaluable. That was invaluable to have a person who's gone through experiences and has insight that she can bring alongside me. But at some point, that doula was leaving me. Like, she wasn't going to be moving in permanently. So I had to figure out to flex this muscle of like, girl, like, you're a mom now. Like, you're not researching this thing anymore. Like, you are the thing. And you need to learn how to be patient and operate based off of your instincts and your gut and like that mother intuition that kicks in. And the more that you proactively do that in moments where you aren't under the fire, the easier it's going to be when everything goes crazy and you're stressed because you'll have a new default that you've been training towards.
With mentorship or AI or whatever it is, if you're constantly going to that, asking it questions, you never develop that like ability to hear what does my gut say about this thing. And like I said earlier, most of the time you have the answers and you just have to go through a process of working through it. And that builds even more confidence in you that like, even if you don't know something, you can seek help from people and you can find the answer elsewhere. But most of the time, like, you know what's right for you. It's like with health related things. I've been learning so much recently about fasting and glucose and all this stuff. And there's fundamental truths of like fasting is beneficial for your body. However, there's so many different ways to fast. There's different styles of fasting, different time periods of when you fast, how long you fast for. And for women who are menstruating, it's like different parts of your cycle, you shouldn't be fasting versus other parts where you can. And with that, there's so much nuance to it. But like, I'm so intrigued by fasting. And so I've been learning a lot about that. But I also have to take certain things with a grain of salt and know when I should do something or when I shouldn't, and listening to my body. And like, if I'm feeling super stressed out, maybe I don't need to add another stressor like fasting. If I'm gearing up for a podcast episode, maybe I should have breakfast so that I feel like fueled and ready to go.
She definitely needs breakfast, you guys.
I had breakfast this morning because I was like, I gotta be like fueled up and ready to go. So there's just so much nuance to these sort of things. Like, there's the fundamental truth that fasting is good, but there's so much nuance to it. And everyone is going to fast differently. It's like with anything. So you got to just be able to think more for yourself. And yes, like learn more and, read more books and fill your mind with the right things, but also learn how to eat the meat and spit out the bones. That's something our dad always says because he reads so many books and he got really into longevity in recent years. And he's read so many books that talk about like peptides and stem cell research and all this stuff. And he takes what applies to him and he soaks it up and he applies it to his life. And then he kind of, discards of the rest. It's like with anything, that's what we have to learn how to do is take what applies to you. And if it doesn't, don't worry about it.
Yeah, like let it go.
Yeah.
having that ability to think critically and think for yourself. Just because you read something, just because your mentor says something or holds an opinion, it doesn't mean it's an absolute truth. Like certain things are absolute truths, but if you're scrolling in Instagram and there's this new strategy and you're like all of a sudden in a tizzy, like, oh, well, I need to be doing this thing, like that's likely not something you need to be worried about.
Yeah.
I mean, just because you see something, hear something, or someone carries the belief that this is the new strategy, or this is going to be the new thing, and you need to do this to be successful. And if you're not doing this, then, no one should really be working with you. These are all things we read online every day. And it's like, people, like, how far are we willing to go to like have a headline or a hook? My goodness. I mean, there's that whole conversation of sharing your opinion, but doing that in an integrous way. You have to have discernment. Like if you don't have discernment, you're always going to feel like you're missing something. You're never going to be grounded. And remembering that nothing except for God ever needs to be put on a pedestal. No one, nothing, and I constantly try to remind my clients of this in subliminal ways when they ask me questions of what should I do with this or what's right with this. And I can share, hey, this is personally what I would do, or this is my personal belief on what works best in a sales setting for this particular thing. That's my approach. That's not everyone's approach. Let's talk about what's going to work for you. And I can advise you, but I encourage you to sit with this. I encourage you to think about, I'm not here to just tell you, go do X, Y, Z. That's not how we work together. Because if I do that, what are you going to do when we're not working together anymore? That's actually doing you a disservice. So be careful about how much you are taking in and whether or not you're putting those things, those people on a pedestal. These things, tools, people are all just meant to come alongside you in your journey, to be tools, to aid you. But you, at the end of the day, are the leader. And you don't need to be in a constant posture of following blindly. You need to step into that role of leading, whether that's turning down consumption, whether that's taking the time and being patient in the process to figure something out, whether that's going deeper in your outlining process for content, or when you're creating a new product. You know what it is for you. You know what your habits have been thus far. We all, no matter what walk of life, we all have the ability to consume less. And I mean, I'm going to throw this out there. It might be TMI, but like, you don't have to scroll when you're on the toilet. Like that's a perfect example of like, you do not have to scroll on the toilet. Like, don't bring your phone with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Amen.
That's the headline.
That's a perfect moment to just be like alone with your thoughts. It doesn't take that long. Just,
You don't even... And even if it does take long, we got some issues going. Like, take that as an opportunity. No, it doesn't have to be. We're not even saying that you need to create all these moments for like profound thinking.
Yeah.
It's like, just be.
Yeah.
Like, just have a moment where you're not consuming something else.
Yeah. Just have those little moments of boredom or like a little lull in your day. And that actually does a lot for us. Like, it's like how when we sleep at night, like your body like resets and your muscles are, healing themselves and whatever. Having those moments of like stillness, even if they're just like a few minutes of you being alone, like that does so much for you to be able to process things in the background of your mind. That's, I was actually researching this recently because sometimes I get caught in these moments of like a trance where I'm just like zoned out. And there's actually stuff going on in your brain when you do that. Like when you're so zoned out and like you're just staring into the void, there's something going on in your brain where it's like cleaning out stuff. It's like your brain is like healing itself and taking care of yourself. So having those moments just anytime throughout the day to just be a little bit bored or just be silent and like let your mind be still is so powerful and will do so much good for you.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the other thing too is anytime you're consuming anything, that is having some sort of impact on you and or it is influencing you in some way. Yeah. It's one of the reasons why you can be blindly scrolling on social media for even 5 minutes and then you shut your phone down and all of a sudden you're like, I'm in a bad mood. Or like, I feel angry or I feel sad.
Or like overwhelmed.
Yeah,
and like,
overstimulated.
Yeah.
overstimulated
Yeah.
is like one of the new easy things for me because I'm also a mom. So now like adjusting in this season and being even more mindful of like, man, there needs to be no mindless, nothing,
Mhm.
because that's just truly habitual, number one, and or we're trying to numb out. And I feel like there's a better way to like restore ourselves, to relax. Like, I don't know, go sit outside and breathe in fresh air, go make a cup of tea, or maybe not read a book. I don't know, write, pray.
But I would say even reading a book is better for you than like scrolling online. Because when you're scrolling online, you're seeing so many different things and so many opinions, and all the people that you follow on Instagram, you're going to see all of their thoughts and their posts, their photos and videos. Whereas when you're reading a book, you're reading like one person's like thoughts on something, and it's like easier to, you like slowly digest that.
Yeah.
Whereas social media can just be so fast and overstimulating.
Yeah, and I find when you pick up a book, it's more of a conscious, intentional decision, whereas our phones, it really has become a habitual, like, well, I'm in an elevator alone with someone, so I'm just going to be on my phone. Or I'm like in the grocery line and like this person's a little bit awkward, so instead of engaging with them, I'm going to be on my phone. There's just so many opportunities, even outside of the context of business, to just like slow down and like, I don't know, be a person, relate with people, talk to people, be in your experience, be where you're at now. Like, you never know what you might have to learn or what lesson you might be taught or how you might make someone's day by, you know, putting yourself out there and telling someone that you like their outfit. I just recalled this memory of, I told this girl in the grocery store, I was like, I really love your outfit. I had my baby and it was like a crazy moment for me. She had her ear pods in and she didn't even hear me. So I just looked like this crazy person who's strolling my baby. And I'm like, I love your outfit. And she just like, I was like, well, it's the thought that counts. And I just kept going. And I'm like, you know, that's me flexing my muscle of, you know, just being like in civilization and talking to people. And instead of just going into my own little like cave and consuming, there's just so many settings where this is important beyond business. But at the end of the day, we're not trying to villainize any of these things, especially when we talk about mentorship. We mentor through our business. We have mentors. So that's important. We're not trying to villainize social media or AI. Those are both tools. And actually, you should be using each of those things. You should have some element of these things in your life. But the problem is when you put these things so high on a pedestal to where it is the answer. It's like the God, and you lose yourself. You don't trust yourself. You don't have patience for the process. And your default is always others instead of critical thinking.
Yeah, we want you to be in the driver's seat. Like, you can use AI, mentorship, or social media as tools. You can listen to the different influences in your life, but we want you to still be you at the end of the day. I want you to be in the driver's seat of your life, finding creative solutions and problem solving and trusting your instincts. Although you can use these things as tools, you don't need to lean on them or rely on them to have all the answers for you. You already have the answers.
Part of it is just being willing to slow down, embrace any agitation of just problem solving, because we live in a world where we're so used to convenience that anything else that takes a little bit longer just feels like the most frustrating, annoying thing. But in the middle of agitation, in the middle of pressing through and really thinking through an idea, or again, just the concept of coming up with original ideas and critically thinking, like all of that is allowing you to become more resilient, more strong, more confident. It's allowing you to trust yourself more, to become a better leader. And that at the end of the day is what you're here for.